Hi guys, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at one open source tool I cannot live without. I found out about it a few weeks ago and it has changed my workflow completely. Yes, it's a small tool, it doesn't do a lot of things, but the few things it does is exactly what you may need. Now, in this video, we're going to be covering an open source tool called Vorssaint. It is completely free. The developer has graced us with such an amazing software. And let's just get right into it. Welcome to the Average Tech Dad channel. I'm Toby, and today let's take a look at this amazing open source tool that you may not be able to live without. And this is the Vorssaint website. Look at this absolute gem, this marvel of a website. So, as you see off the top, it looks like your Mac operating system. Of course, this is a Mac only application, so it would just it makes sense for it to be, the UI should to look like a MacBook, you know, OS operating system. And we can see some icons on the right hand side for the features. I guess if you click on it, it's going to open up. Look at this. Look at this. It's basically just shows this pop over window that looks like your Mac Finder application, basically, where you can browse through the files and you can see the various features of the application. Now, we can go through this feature list, but I would like to show you in person how it is used and how it works for me. So we're just going to close out of this. And you can see this is a nice website. And it says click here to open preview. If you click here, you can see that the developer demoed what the application will look like. So it's actually quite nice. Just a quick UI to show you what you get out of the box. So it's a pretty sweet application, by the way. So okay, I think that basically covers it. Let's just head over to the Vorssaint app. So some of you guys might have noticed that at the top here, we have two metrics, which I just show you, which is my CPU and RAM. So this is what Vorssaint get there does for you. You can click on it to open up and it opens this lovely, tiny little application with loads of feature. And the first we're going to look into is the keep awake feature. Basically what this does for you is keep your Mac awake. So if you're running any agentic work, anything that needs your laptop to stay awake or your machine to stay awake throughout the night or throughout the day, you can just toggle this button. This switch is going to turn keep your Mac awake or your laptop awake throughout the day, and you can have access to it anytime. So of course you have other options here, which is the volume mixer. Oh, this is another amazing feature. If you've had to deal with managing your audio between you're taking maybe a Zoom call and you're watching maybe a YouTube video in the background and you're doing some other things and you want to basically control the volume of each application, this is just a feature to allow you control those audio settings. You can see for each of them. So each of the applications that I have open now, I can individually control the audio by just moving this slider in any direction. Sorry, it needed some permission to do that. And you can control that particular application. So that's a very nice feature. Next is your system. Now, this is the one I always use basically. So it tells you your CPU, the temperature, your GPU temperature, your battery temperature. You can see it off the fly. So if your laptop or your machine is overheating, you can see it in one glance what's happening on each of these components. And then you can see your hardware usage, just your CPU usage. You can see what it is. And if you click on this tiny arrow here, you can see the applications that are pushing it. Right now, Zen and OBS, oh, they are so hungry. Look at that. Zen is using about 137% of my CPU. It's pushing it. Of course, the metrics will make sense, but if you calculate an average of it, you'll probably understand why it's that. And then the GPU, we can see what is using the GPU of the machine. So there's a process running and then there's OBS also running, which I'm using to record this video, and it's using some of that GPU memory. And they'll have the battery, which is capped at 80%. That's my own personal setting. I set the battery to charge to 80%. And you can see that under the memory pressure is normal. Lovely. Out of my 32 gigs, 26 is used. It's quite a lot because Mac is quite hungry for RAM, but then it says the pressure is normal. So I think I trust it. And the laptop has been up for 7 days and 21 hours. The next is the network. So you can see your uploads and your download speeds. And then here you get this nifty little tool called speed test. So you basically just click on this, boom, and it's running a speed test in the background for you. And it shows the speed of your internet basically, or your network. So that's pretty nice. So you can see I have about 16 down, 51 up. Pretty poor. I don't know why. what it is what it is. So basically, you can see applications that are using your network essentially, basically like sending requests and all of that. So it's a pretty tool to do some minor monitoring if you need to see what's doing something with your network in the background. Here you get to see your disk. Also, this is pretty awesome too. So you get to see your disk, what you have used, and also the read and write speeds of it. So in case maybe your disk is wearing out or something, you think there's something wrong, you can come here and take a quick look and see if it's weird or funny. You get some nice metrics off the top. So that is nice. Next is your power. You get to see how much wattage is being supplied by your adapter because I'm currently plugged in right now, charging the laptop, and then we can see my battery health is 98%. And then we have another one called fan control. I think this one is still in beta, so we can't really do much about it. But I think you might be able to toggle your fan. Maybe if the fan isn't spinning fast enough, you can basically throttle it, or sorry, boost it to go faster or slow it down. It depends. I don't know what the developer has in mind, but I'm just making assumptions. So next is the utils. Now this is the holy grail of the application. It has got a lot of utilities you can use. And the first on the list is the Homebrew. So this allows you to manage your Homebrew packages. You can install new ones. You can basically uninstall, you can update, and so on. It's a really nice nifty tool to manage. Instead of having to go through your command line or stuff like that, you just manage it directly in this UI. The next is the media. Now, this is pretty impressive. You can compress images on the fly, so you don't need to download another tool. You don't need to use tools like Photoshop, etc. So you can just do that directly in Vorssaint. Next is your clipboard. Now, this is also very nice. So anything you have copied, you can just have it in your clipboard, so you can have access to it anytime. So you can copy a bunch of stuff, maybe 5, 10, 20 things in the past in your history, and then you can just come back here and you have access to them without having to try to dig through what you copied last. It's really nice. And they have window layouts. I tend to use this one a lot. So you can just push it, like for instance, now maybe this desktop window, I need to put it on the left. I can just click and boom, look at that. It has just, if I want to put it on the right, it just does that. So super, super nifty. So it helps you to basically arrange your windows or the layout of your windows how you'd like to have it. And next, you have your uninstaller. So this is another underrated tool. You find that uninstalling apps for Mac is both easy and yet a bit complicated in the sense that some apps can leave a lot of residual files here and there. So this tool will help you basically look for those files that are not where they should be and then remove it all. So there's a clean uninstall of any application. Now you have clean URL. This is a niche tool if you need your URLs cleaned. You copy a bunch, like a long URL, and it has like random stuff in it. You just want to clean that link so it's proper. This is a tool you can use. And also, there's another tool I tend to use, which is the cleaning mode. If you want to clean your Mac, sometimes even if you turn on your MacBook, but you press any key, it sort of comes back, it turns back on. So this tool just helps you lock your keyboard so that you can clean it and it will not affect, it will not basically trigger a key or anything like your settings or do any damage to your Mac. It basically freezes it so that you can clean around it without it typing anything or doing anything you unexpected or actually might not want. So that is pretty, pretty, pretty nice. Next you have is your controls. So this you can toggle a bunch of extra features you might want on your Mac. And one of the ones that I have been using is the cut and paste. For those that use Mac, you know that cut and paste is not like Windows, and Windows is the GOAT when it comes to cut and paste. Control V, Control C, stuff like that. So that it brings that feature to Mac and it acts about the same way. Next is shelf. Now, this is a very nice feature. So basically, it allows you to collect files into one location. Maybe you want to gather files in one place to copy or transfer to somebody, or you want to delete them. But then each of those files are like all over your MacBook Pro, your MacBook. It just allows you to gather them in one place. And I'll show you what I mean now. So let's say you head over to, maybe I'll use my Macintosh HP as an example, and I come to maybe this system folder now, and then I just shake it and look at that. It allows me to drop it there. So I can just gather all these files there and then maybe delete it or do something with it at the end of the day. So it helps you gather. So I can just put maybe my library in there. I can put maybe the users in there. As you can see, it just helps you gather all your files in one place. It's pretty useful if you know if you want to do something about it. It's nice to have. So next is the dock preview. So those of you on Windows will definitely know what this is. For Mac users, we don't. Many of us don't have an idea what this is. But basically, what it is that when you go to your menu, your dock down here, and you hover over an icon, you get to see a preview of what is happening in that particular application. So let's say you go to maybe like WhatsApp now, you hover, and then you can see a tiny preview here of what is going on. You can hover over something like Telegram, and then you see a preview. It's nice it's a nice to have. It's not always, it's not needed, but it's a nice to have. It basically brings that Windows feel to Mac. I see what the guy in Vorssaint is doing is just trying to combine the great features of Windows and then Mac together in one application. That's pretty nice. And off the top, you get something because of that application or that tiny utility. You get this feature, which is if you press Command Tab, you can see the preview of your various applications that are open right now. That is very, very nice. So you can just tap through it. You can see the icons. So it looks exactly like how it does look on Windows also. That basically are the features I typically use in the software. There are other tools you can basically toggle on and off. There are loads of settings you can turn on and off, but this is my basic setup for Vorssaint. And I think it's a pretty nice tool. You can go over to the GitHub repo, you can start the repository, download it, play with it, tweak it, whatever. The code is up there. It's open source, it's free, and it's lovely. This brings us to the end of this video. I want to thank you guys for always watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, please leave it in the comments. Tell me what you want to see, what you want to know about, and I'll make a video on that specific topic, tool, or just a lesson. Thank you very much. See you next time.